You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, Joplin scrambles to fill a sinkhole created by a suspected mine shaft collapse.
We're just Thanksgiving morning, but I tell you what, it's going to be a little bit chilly. For those of you that are going to do a little Black Friday shopping, we'll tell you how many layers you're going to need from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Behind the scenes, look at the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which makes its comeback after the pandemic, but a hold on it. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A major project in Joplin that includes some road closures is just 1 week away. 32nd Street from Schifferdecker to Central City will be widened to 3 lanes with the ability to expand that to 5 as the area grows. Starting December 1st, crews will begin clearing trees along 32nd Street in preparation of heavier work set to begin later in December. Toward the end of the month, the first road closure is expected to take place from Schifferdecker to Westbury Lane.
With that type of construction, we're doing several phasing of short-term and long-term road closures. Know that will be some inconvenience. We'll always get the property owners in and out.
The project is being done in 2 phases, with each of those broken into smaller groups to minimize the impact of road closures on the residents. And it is expected to take around 2 years to complete. Well, the roundabout at Highway 171, 96 and Route YY near Carl Junction is now open for traffic, mostly. Jasper County Route YY is open only in the eastbound direction. That's according to MoDOT. They will open that area fully at a later date. Drivers could still encounter periodic lane closures as crews wrap up minor work and clean up. Well, it's a lot more than a pothole. A large sinkhole has forced authorities to close Jung Boulevard between Central City and Black Cat Road in Joplin. Joplin Special Road District believes a mine shaft might have opened beneath the road. Crews are working to fill it. Many folks may already be cooking for today's Thanksgiving dinner, and the Pittsburgh Fire Department wants to make sure people know what to do in case of an emergency. Fire Chief Dennis Riley says the department usually sees emergencies around Thanksgiving. They often have to do with attempting to fry a turkey. He says it's important to call 911 as soon as you see a fire.
We have seen fires in the past where notification has been delayed. Homeowners try to take action on their own. They get into a situation where there's too much for them to handle, and then they call the fire department. And fire grows exponentially.
Of course, as always, firefighters are on duty even through the holidays. Up to 100 people could have full bellies today thanks to a Jane, Missouri restaurant. Green's Bar and Grill is hosting a free meal for folks in need. They're serving up turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, egg salad, and much more.
It's just free for the whole community. We just want to give back to our community. So we're really thankful that the restaurants took off as well as it has, and we'd like to be able to give back to the community. We don't really know of anybody else that has done anything like this, so we wanted to be able to do it.
Again, Green says it can feed up to 100 people. Well, this year's Salvation Army Thanksgiving Day dinner in Joplin is expected to be at capacity. Around 400 meals will be delivered. Salvation Army workers say donations for this year's dinner have been good.
Biggest thing is the food we get donated. We start working on that a few weeks before, getting in the quantities that we want, trying to purchase little as possible, which we have done very well with, getting the right amount of donations.
People can still sign up for the Joplin Salvation Army's upcoming Christmas dinner. Well, you can find more community meals happening today in our area on our website. That's at KOAMnewsnow.com. Santa Claus has come to town. Old St. Nick, or at least one of his helpers, is set up at the North Park Mall in Joplin. Of course, there were plenty of excited kids there yesterday to let the big man know what they want to see under the tree this year. But at least a couple of kids we caught up with were also excited about the reason for the season and their family coming together.
I get to celebrate Jesus' birthday.
Who was that?
Probably seeing everybody in one because we're usually at Christmas at our house, everybody's in all these different rooms and it's kind of weird.
Well, you can catch Santa every day up until Christmas. Hours are 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday, Santa is at the mall from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from noon to 6 on Sundays. Well, the word of the year is a three-letter acronym, NFT. Collins Dictionary has picked NFT, or non-fungible token, as the word to know for 2021. NFTs can be artworks or collectibles that have unique digital certificates ensuring their value and authenticity. In March, an NFT artwork named Everydays, the first 5,000 days, sold for $69 million at Christie's. NFT narrowly edged out crypto as the word of the year, as in cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin. Michael, do you use NFT a lot in your daily verbiage?
Oh yeah. Yeah, not a supper conversation goes by the Hayslip household without us delving into the realm of NFT. No!
Well, the latest NFT. Sometimes I wonder about these. I really do.
You know, honestly, when I do a story, I still call it a non-fungible token. Like, I don't even use the acronym.
Yeah. It's not common.
I was a little surprised that
I can't believe it beat out crypto. And I'm not a fan.
You're right.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me just on the surface, what do you think is a more popular word? What would be deemed
Okay,
like word
so
of the year?
this was
I would have gone crypto.
This was Collins Dictionary that did this. So I'm wondering.
Merriam-Webster, maybe a different one.
Yeah, like where's their database coming from? Is it like all in Europe? Do they have a American database? Because like they said, this word is used often at like Christie, like
let's also
auctions
remember
and stuff.
that the KOAM Morning News is big in Eastern Europe.
Yes, we are.
So that could play into it.
Trying to expand
I'm not sure.
Our reach out there.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope that you have a chance to enjoy some time with friends and family. And maybe even go for a walk after the turkey, because it's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous afternoon. It's certainly a gorgeous morning. But if you're going to take an early morning walk, kind of get ready for the turkey and the stuffing, I would grab a coat and some gloves, because we are down around the freezing mark, if not just a little bit above there throughout southwest Missouri. The wind shifting after our overnight rain, and now that we were coming in from the north, we're doing so at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. As we go bit by bit through the morning, luckily the wind will decrease. But look at the temperature change test that we have, or temperature change that we have up until the 7:08 hour. This is going to increase. Now wait until we get to this afternoon. It's going to be close to 30-degree difference. We just kind of lucked out yesterday. I tell you what else we lucked out on. Any of you that are traveling, no worries whatsoever. As a matter of fact, all the rain that we had overnight, it is a thing of the distant past, not only for today, but also too, if you're going to be out and about this weekend. And the nice thing about this weekend, more sunshine and temperatures that are much, much better than today. As a matter of fact, we're going to throw up some 60s there on Saturday.
Well, up next, today people are celebrating a holiday, but will it cause a new spike in COVID cases? And later, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is underway. We take you behind the scenes of the infamous parade. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Public health experts predict an uptick in the rate of COVID-19 deaths and hospitalizations over the next 4 weeks. U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention published its new ensemble forecast. According to Johns Hopkins University, the current COVID-related death toll in the states is more than 773,000. CDC forecasts suggest by December 18th, the new death toll could be between 794,000 and 822,000. Agency also predicts hospitals are likely to admit more than 12,000 new COVID patients in the next 4 weeks. The weekly forecast review data from several sources across the nation. With more families returning to large gatherings this holiday season, health experts say it's important to keep your guests safe from food poisoning. U.S. Department of Agriculture is reminding us to refrigerate perishable items within 2 hours and to freeze or eat your leftovers within 4 days. If you're reheating leftovers, make sure they reach 165 degrees before eating. And if you use the microwave, always cover and rotate your dishes. Protection from the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine wanes over time, and that's according to a new study published in the BMJ. Research found that there is a gradual increase in the risk of COVID-19 infection. That's starting 90 days after receiving a second dose, meaning breakthrough infections are more likely 3 months after the shot. Study authors believe a booster shot may be necessary to prevent infection and spread of the virus. Athletes who played years of football had more brain damage on MRI scans. A new study published in the American Academy of Neurology found that those who played contact sports had increased white matter on these scans, which were associated with changes in the brain. The more years of football played, the higher amounts of white matter. The research was based on the brains of 75 football or soccer players, boxers, or military veterans who all donated their brains to research after death. Scientists have found evidence of ancient land dwellers at the bottom of the ocean. Researchers with Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute say they discovered a Columbian mammoth tusk in the deep waters off of California's coast. Scientists estimate the tusk is more than 100,000 years old. It's over 3 feet long and was found 185 miles offshore and 10,000 feet underwater. Researchers note mammoth remains from continental North America are particularly rare. They plan to use the tusk DNA to refine what we know about mammoths in that part of the world.
That's pretty
More
neat.
mysteries under the sea, Michael.
Yeah, no, that's really neat, especially considering, we had that break in between the KOM Morning News and the Morning News right here on Fox 14, and I spent it reading about a Neanderthal skull that they've reassessed and realized that he had picked up an animal-borne disease some 50,000 years ago, relating it to, the possible origins of COVID-19 and whatnot. And one of the things that they hunted was the woolly mammoth.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, that truly is right there.
You're saying they were thinking that that was the origins of COVID? Is that what you said?
Actually, it's a zoonotic disease called brucellosis that is still common today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, going through that, one of the staples of their diet was the mammoth. Yeah, so that's pretty neat right there. Current conditions over 7th and Rangeline, where it's actually not too busy right now. I think everybody waiting to hit the road a little bit, maybe waiting for it to warm up a little bit before you pile the family in the car. 34 degrees, but a wind chill right now only of 25. Here are our actual temperatures, kind of hovering right around skosh above, skosh below the freezing mark. Looks like 36 is going to be our clubhouse leader, whether it be Miami, Grove, or Anderson. No, excuse me, Cassville has bumped up to 37. Overnight, after the rain rolled through, there's a complete shift of our winds now moving in from the north, and what that presents is a wind chill that it's dropped us as low as 20 degrees, what it feels like in Yates Center, Fort Scott, and Lamar. So not going to be surprised if we don't even see some wind chills drop into the teens. Now, the nice thing about it, number one, the precipitation is a thing of the past, so we have no worries about that. Number two, if you're going to be traveling with that line of rain, it's almost on the other side of the Mississippi. You're really not going to run into anything in the car. And even if you're on your way to an airport, maybe making a weekend trip, contiguous 48 looking very, very good into the weekend. Picked up a 1/4 inch of accumulation at Joplin Regional Airport, so those rain amounts were right on par with what we expected. And now that we're done with that, we actually will keep the precipitation at bay all the way into the middle of next week. Still about 25, almost 30 degrees cooler than what we've had peaked out yesterday. We even threw up a couple 70s yesterday afternoon. It was ridiculously warm with that southerly wind. But now that it's shifted, for those of you that are going to do some Black Friday shopping, yeah, it's going to be multiple layers if you anticipate standing out in line, because we're going to drop below the freezing point for at least one more night. But if you got outside traditions for your family on Thanksgiving, no worries whatsoever. And like I said, for those of you that are going to go shopping, just be warm. Don't have to worry about an umbrella or anything, that's for sure. And a 7-day forecast that's going to lift us up into the 50s Friday afternoon, 60s on Saturday, and Sunday's looking great as well. Next shot for rain that really doesn't come all the way until next Wednesday. Another key factor of all this is the very bottom of the panel. You can tell this will, tonight into tomorrow will actually be our last day of freezing that we very well may just carry over into the beginning of December. Look forward to that as well. Be back with more KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. In the midst of Thanksgiving and the pandemic, millions of Americans are on the move, even as coronavirus infections surge in some areas. Take for New York, for example. Preparations are underway for the Thanksgiving Day Macy's Parade that is going to have spectators for the first time. Get this, it's been 2 years. Courtney Keeley, she's in the Big Apple, where the big balloons take to air this morning.
Americans appear determined to regain some sense of normality this holiday season.
Family time and being able to see them for like the first time since the pandemic.
Some 50 million people are driving, flying, or taking trains to their Thanksgiving destinations.
We're going to Silsbee, Texas. It's about an hour and a half away.
It's a far cry from 2020 when the CDC was urging the country to stay home.
I was so scared when I was traveling last year that I was going to get COVID and take it home to my family. It is definitely more like, it's less nerve-wracking definitely traveling this year.
COVID-19 cases are rising in 24 states, but overall the numbers are down from a year ago.
It's a little tricky. We're all wearing masks still, which is unfortunate. Like everybody else, we're pushing through it and hopefully going to have a good travel experience.
Here in New York City, preparations are underway for the return of the full Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Last year's event was limited to just a single block, and there were no spectators allowed. Today, thousands will crowd the sidewalks along the 2.5-mile route.
We are so excited that we're able to deliver something that feels very much like our normal Thanksgiving Day parade.
This is what we all need right now, right? A little happiness and joy right before the holidays.
The parade will feature 15 giant character balloons, including newcomer Baby Yoda. Courtney Keeley, CBS News, New York.
New York officials are requiring all parade participants to show proof that they're vaccinated against COVID-19. However, spectators do not have to be vaccinated. We'll be back with this morning's 4-state hero right after this.
It's time to honor today's 4-state hero, John Bowman. Corporal John Bowman served in Europe from 1943 through 1946. He was a part of the 134th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Unit. Fought during the Battle of the Bulge, earning 4 Bronze Stars. We thank you, John Bowman, today's 4-state hero. A shortage of truck drivers is a big reason the U.S. is in a supply chain bottleneck. The American Trucking Association estimates the industry is short about 80,000 drivers. Caroline Cummings reports on efforts to recruit more young people and women to the profession.
When most of us hit the road, it isn't in a semi-truck.
This is your shifter.
But in South St. Paul, hundreds per year trained to drive large loads long distances.
What we do here is just to make sure that they know exactly what to expect when they actually start working and hit on the road for the first time.
Despite all of the new drivers learning the rules of the road, the industry says there's still not enough of them to transport billions of freight per year across state lines. One solution at the federal level, a pilot program to train drivers under 21, the current legal age limit.
We have not had much interest from the younger generation in driving truck, to be honest with you.
Bill Collins, owner of Interstate Truck Driving School, says he doesn't think the new change will make a big dent in solving the problem, and safety advocates have serious concerns.
The trucking industry should not be tapping into high school hallways and putting them onto high-speed highways.
Starting pay is as high as Collins has ever seen it in decades, and he says wages should stay there.
And I think that'll solve the problem right there.
That and expand interest to a key part of the workforce.
Many hope more women will step up to the plate and get behind the wheel because so few of us are on the road today.
About 7% of truck drivers are women. The infrastructure bill set up a federal advisory board to help with female recruitment.
That would have, I think, a greater benefit than attracting the 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
And it's a wonderful job.
Joanna Sager of Andover, in her own way, is boosting those numbers, leaving a 20-year career behind to start a new one.
They've changed or are changing things to make it more comfortable for us. And truck stops are changing showers and bathrooms and, you know, the things that women, it's important to.
In South St. Paul.
It's a profession to go into that I think women would enjoy.
Carolyn Cummings, WCCO 4 News.
Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Shopping is a big part of the Thanksgiving holiday. However, it can be tricky to figure out how and when to do it. We've got tips to help shed some light. And a WWE superstar gets a surprise challenge, one he wasn't expecting. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Major project in Joplin that includes some road closures is just 1 week away. 32nd Street from Schifferdecker to Central City will be widened to 3 lanes with the ability to expand that to 5 as the area grows. Starting December 1st, crews will begin clearing trees along 32nd Street in preparation of heavier work set to begin later in December. Toward the end of the month, the first road closure is expected to take place from Schifferdecker to Westbury Lane.
With that type of construction, we're doing several phasing of short-term and long-term road closures. Know that will be some inconvenience. We'll always get the property owners in and out.
The project is being done in 2 phases, with each of those broken into smaller groups to minimize the impact of road closures on the residents. It's expected to take around 2 years to complete. Well, the roundabout at Highway 171, 96, and Route YY near Carl Junction is now open for traffic, mostly. Jasper County Route YY is open only in the eastbound direction. According to MoDOT, they will open that area fully at a later date. Drivers could still encounter periodic lane closures as crews wrap up minor work and clean up. Well, it's a lot more than a pothole. A large sinkhole has forced authorities to close Jung Boulevard between Central City and Black Cat Road in Joplin. Joplin Special Road District believes a mine shaft might have opened beneath the road. Crews are working to fill it. And cooking is a big part of Thanksgiving, but it can also lead to disaster if you're not careful. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with the Pittsburgh fire chief to see what the department dealt with last year and to get some tips for staying safe this Thanksgiving.
Pittsburgh Fire Chief Dennis Riley is no stranger to disaster, especially around Thanksgiving.
Historically, over the course of time, several years, we do see some incidents happen right around the Thanksgiving holiday.
With all of the possibilities for disaster on Thanksgiving, the Pittsburgh Fire Chief has some tips so your dinner doesn't go up in flames.
So as long as you follow the instructions, it's fine.
He says not to use this day to try anything new in the kitchen.
A couple things we recommend is, number one, stay within your skills. So if you have not made a big Thanksgiving meal before, don't let today be the day that you try to do that. So people can get overwhelmed. They get a lot of things on the stove. They get in a hurry. Then all of a sudden they throw a dish towel down on a hot burner because they've got so much going on. They're just not used to doing that.
Another thing that can cause fires is a buildup of grease. So make sure to keep your stove and oven clean.
A lot of times grease and food byproducts over the course of time fall on the bottom of the stove. Then all of a sudden you put a big turkey in there and a whole bunch of other stuff. Something spills out, hits the burner. That starts a fire. So we recommend make sure your stove is clean.
Most importantly, Riley says to call 911 as soon as you see a fire.
Homeowners try to take action on their own. They get into a situation where there's too much for them to handle, and then they call the fire department. And fire grows exponentially. So if there's any concern whatsoever at all, call the fire department first.
The Pittsburgh Fire Department will be working Thanksgiving and says not to hesitate should any emergencies arise. In Pittsburgh, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
That food in that video looked familiar. Last report, the Pittsburgh and Joplin fire departments had not seen any holiday cooking-related fires this year. Hold off, Michael, and we can get to that. Chinese and U.S. officials held a commemoration event on Tuesday in Houston to mark the 50th anniversary of ping pong diplomacy.
Oh, yeah, guys, that was in Forrest Gump.
Yeah, the celebration was jointly held by the National Committee on United States-China Relations, Chinese Table Tennis Association, and their U.S. counterparts. Connie Suarez, a U.S. athlete who previously participated in the ping pong diplomacy 50 years ago, also expressed her high hopes for the ties between the two countries. At the commemoration event, officials also played a friendly table tennis match, echoing the ongoing 2021 World Table Tennis Championships that kicked off on the same day. There's only one person missing from this story. Can you guess who it is, Michael?
There's only what?
There's somebody missing from this story.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I was going to say Tom Hanks, exactly. For sure.
It's going to be sunny and chilly today. Highs around 40. Well, okay.
The food in that
we have
video.
to explain why I just like busted it up laughing.
I don't know.
You can still see it. It's still there.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you, Dylan.
Thank
Great
you.
job, Dylan. That's
Thank you.
awesome, dude.
Okay, so you know we had our morning show feast yesterday. Well, we shared it.
There it
we made
is.
so much food. I don't even know if I should.
That's
get
called
into it.
Bronte Saratsky
Yeah.
being resourceful.
Yes.
She's like, where am I going to get video of a Thanksgiving feast the day before Thanksgiving? Oh, I know. The morning show crew in the KOAM break room.
Right.
That's still there. The food.
And you notice the
Yeah, I
sink
kn-
was
yeah.
clean because certain individuals on the KOAM morning show team, I neglected to mention Michael's name earlier. He got upset with me. But thank you, Dylan and Michael and whoever else helped with dishes.
Oh no!
Appreciate it.
Don't worry about the dishes. We worry more about our partners in crime that work nightside that enjoyed some and decided to leave it out. And we love you guys.
A stick of
Also,
butter.
too, shout out to Chief Dennis Riley, Pittsburgh Fire Department. That man has been more than kind with the time that he's given to us for any story that we need. Chief, greatly appreciate it, and a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. We'll be back with more KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. All right, Football Frenzy coming up today. You know, for the past 101 years, there has been, not continuously, but it dates back 101 years, the National Football League has played a game on Thanksgiving. And so, of course, we continue that tradition, not only here on Fox 14, but also on CBS. So a couple interesting matchups today. One I want to talk about, not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Coming up at 11:30, Bears-Lions. That's going to kick right here on Fox 14. Now, at 3:30 this afternoon, we've got the Raiders and the Cowboys. 3:30 this afternoon on CBS. So this is an interesting one because if Dallas goes out and puts up 40 points, then all you Chiefs fans got to be thinking right away, oh my gosh, that defense that limited them and has been limiting teams to less than 12 points over the last 4 games, maybe that Chiefs defense is coming around and is for real. And of course, with Vegas being in the same division as the Chiefs, you can actually go all eyes on that one if you're a Kansas City fan, give you a reason to watch that. Now, let's transition to what we've got tomorrow on CBS. A great college matchup, SEC, Missouri versus number 25, Arkansas. Now, Missouri goes in a 14.5-point dog. But more importantly, let's talk about the head coaches in this game. Sam Pittman, the head coach of the Razorbacks. Well, he's a Grove, Oklahoma boy. He's one of ours right here. Oh, don't forget, Sam Pittman also played at Pittsburgh State. Head coach Sam Pittman is in the Pittsburgh State University Athletic Hall of Fame. Now, with that being said, well, let's talk a little bit about Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz. You see, Eli and his family, they grew up in Arkansas. He's now the head coach of the University of Missouri. And with that being said, well, it just so happens that Eli's brother, Jeremy, he is the president of Mercy Joplin Hospital. So there you go. Take those 2 head coaches, make every 4-state tie known to man right there. Missouri 9-3 all-time in this series, 6-1 over Arkansas since both teams have been a member of the Southeastern Conference. Missouri just now bowl eligible. Arkansas looking for the most wins it's had since 2011. For all you Hog fans out there, you'll remember who your coach was that year. Bobby Petrino. Insert neck brace joke here. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
The arrival of Thanksgiving means holiday shopping is already in full swing. But finding the best deals can depend on when you shop. Anthony Pura explains.
Americans are expected to spend more than ever on gifts this year, but inflation is making everything more expensive. Eric Matisoff from Adobe Analytics says online shoppers may be able to find some good deals by using a little strategy.
The hot items this year are kind of your usual holiday standards: electronics, toys.
He says for toys, Thanksgiving Day will have the best discounts. Black Friday is good for home goods like furniture and tools. On Saturday, online shoppers will see more deals for electronics and appliances. Sunday is the best day for apparel and sporting goods, and Cyber Monday for televisions.
If you're looking to make that upgrade to a new TV, then Cyber Monday is going to be your day for that. But if you're waiting for Cyber Monday, you may not get the exact brand and model that you're looking for.
That's because supply chain issues are creating shortages. According to Adobe, online shoppers are seeing a 250% increase in out-of-stock messages compared to pre-pandemic levels.
Retailers are going to have a lot of trouble restocking things this year.
Kristen McGrath from Retail Me Not says people shopping online and in store face a dilemma: buy now or wait for a better deal.
If you're flexible and you're just looking for stocking stuffers, board games, holiday gifts and home goods in general, you'll probably find some sales on those in stores heading all the way through December.
But experts say people trying to get a specific item should grab it now or risk missing out. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Global supply chain bottlenecks are making things difficult for holiday shoppers. According to one survey, 77% of American adults say they have experienced product-related shopping problems. Nearly half of those were for items that were either out of stock or back-ordered. And to make things worse, scammers are taking advantage of these difficulties by setting up fake websites. Anna Werner has some tips on how to avoid those scams.
Iowa high school senior Jace Leniger likes music, in particular artist Billie Eilish. So when the singer-songwriter released her new album over the summer, he decided to buy himself a birthday gift of some of her new merchandise on what looked like her bona fide website.
I started looking around and shopping.
He bought a bundle he'd seen on Instagram with a sweatshirt, poster, and other items. Price tag about $100. But when the transaction hit his bank account, he says it showed some $79, which he found suspicious.
And so after that, I started to look up the website, look up reviews on the website, and there were over like 1,000 people reviewing this website saying it's a scam, don't buy it, I haven't got my stuff in over half a year.
So what has happened in terms of your money and your merchandise?
Well, I don't have the merchandise or my money.
He's just one of thousands of consumers who say they've lost money to scammers posing as legitimate online retailers.
We have seen a 2,000% increase over the past 3 months, driven by the supply chain issues that are in this country today.
LexisNexis Risk Solutions CEO Haywood Talcove says that equals over 5,000 fake sites, up from just 100 or so earlier this year, as criminals take advantage of consumers' need for products now in short supply.
What's happening is when you go to some of the big box stores, they don't have the toy that you want in stock. And then you Google it, and then you find this really boutique company that is offering the bicycle that your daughter wants. And you think, you know what, I'm gonna get it. It really isn't a company. It's a front for a transnational criminal group.
And Dave Hollister with the Secret Service Cyber Fraud Task Force says those criminals' fake sites, typically launched from overseas, are becoming increasingly sophisticated.
They learn as they go, just like you and I. It's their job.
But examine sites closely, he says, and there are often tip-offs, misspellings, grammar mistakes, links on the page that don't work, and a refusal to accept credit cards.
These websites will often only ask for payment via a wire service, such as PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, places that where the transaction is put through, those monies are gone. and it's very unlikely, almost impossible for the consumer to get their money back.
It's like a virus. It just spreads. It doesn't stop until the consumers stop falling for the trick.
Anna Werner, CBS News, New York.
Telcove with LexisNexis estimates consumers here will have $20 billion stolen by the end of the holiday season. Pro
wrestlers are used to getting pummeled inside the ring, but one superstar took a shot to the chops outside of it. And from a spectator, whole thing caught on camera. Oh, we got Jeremy Roth. We'll take a look at this.
Watch life imitate art as a WWE superstar gets tackled by a spectator. Pro wrestler Seth Rollins was hit with the unscheduled SmackDown as he was exiting the arena during a WWE Raw event in Brooklyn. Fans who shared video of the attack were left in disbelief as security quickly broke up the scuffle. No word on the spectator's beef with Rollins, but he was arrested and hit with multiple charges, including assault. A statement was released saying the WWE takes the safety of all its performers very seriously. As for Rollins, police say he was left with a swollen lip, but refused medical assistance. Just another day at the office, eh, Seth? Speaking of unexpected confrontations, students at a Tennessee elementary school were no doubt surprised when a white-tailed buck wandered into their classroom.
It's not what I was expecting.
According to the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, the deer broke into the Springfield school through an emergency exit, wandered to a classroom, and then the buck stopped here.
So, how's everybody else's morning going today? This guy's had a rough one.
No one was injured, and a TWRA officer was called in and helped the deer hoof it safely to an exit.
All the teachers and students were happy to know he was okay.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
I get it, and it's one of those things that, you know, we can be like, oh, that's funny, a professional wrestler got tackled and whatnot, but that's an entertainment venue that you're attending. What would be the difference between that or running on the court of an NBA game or running on the field and tackling a player in an NFL game? And here's the other thing. Don't worry about the wrestler that you just tackled. Who you need to worry about are his 15 buddies that are also professional wrestlers that are backstage. They're about to give you the beat down of your life. That's embarrassing for that person right there. Temperatures as we stand right now, we still are a little bit below the freezing mark, especially up to the north, and that is a result of our winds that shifted after the rain rolled through. 1/4 inch of precipitation at Joplin Regional Airport overnight. And now that the front has settled in, we've got wind chills that have dropped down all the way to 20 degrees in Pittsburgh, Lamar, and in Yates Center. Now, the rain has moved off to our east. Any traveling you have to do today, you are in the clear. We'll actually get a good dose of sunshine. Temperatures, much cooler than what we had yesterday. If you're brave enough to go stand in line and do a little Black Friday shopping at the brick and mortar stores, bundle up because we'll be below freezing once again tonight into Friday morning. But after that, should be our last freezing point of the month of November. As a matter of fact, we just have a nice little warm up as we head toward December. Gosh, it's hard to believe that we're getting to wrap up the 11th month of the year already. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. A jury in Brunswick, Georgia convicted 3 white men of murder in the killing of Ahmed Arbery. Arbery was jogging through their neighborhood in February of 2020 when they chased him in pickup trucks before one of the men fatally shot Arbery. The guilty verdicts could put all 3 behind bars for life. The defense team says they plan to appeal. Millions of Americans will be sitting down somewhere else for Thanksgiving dinner today. More than 50 million are expected to fly, drive, or take a train to their Thanksgiving destination. Apparently so. That's the highest number of estimated travelers since before the pandemic. In New York City, balloons were filled in preparation for today's Thanksgiving Day parade. Last year, the pandemic forced a televised-only parade without the usual crowds of people lining the city's streets. Back to you. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Cool but sunny for our Thanksgiving holiday. Nice little warm up. Great looking weekend. The sun continues to shine as we even have the 60s by the time we get to Saturday.
Well, on Wednesday morning, the Brookfield Zoo's ring-tailed lemurs enjoyed their 8th annual Thanksgiving feast prepared by the animal care staff. Now, these lemurs, they're named Ramses, Dogwood, and Butch. They had a Thanksgiving meal with traditional accompaniments. This year's edition, though, a football game display on a TV screen that the staff created.
Wait, they created the football game or they created the TV screen?
I don't know.
Because it seems like you would have probably a monitor sitting around.
Even lemurs like Jell-O. That's always like my kid's favorite part, Jell-O.
I think that's cranberry. Wasn't that cranberry sauce?
It was too jiggly, too clear to be cranberry.
You're the expert
That was
there.
cherry Jell-O. I was looking for the marshmallows though, or the fruit. Didn't see
Oh,
it.
you just
I bet the lemur already ate
you just
that.
took me back to my grandma days.
You gotta have a fruit Jell-O.
Hey, I want everybody to have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you for letting us put the good in your morning. Back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Yes, have a great morning and an even better Thanksgiving holiday.
Do you